The Story of Christmas by Manly P. Hall, Part 6. Links to the full text and the previous videos in the playlist are listed in the description box below. I'll be combining all the previous videos into one complete audiobook, and I will release it on Christmas Day. Please remember to take a second and like, comment, and share. Christmas is the day which symbolizes to all Christians God's most splendid gift to mankind. We attempt in small ways to reenact this miracle, and what better way than to do our good work silently and secretly, as nature does, and ascribe them to some gentle symbol of unselfishness like old St. Nicholas. The time-honored custom of exchanging gifts at Christmas is also associated with the Roman Saturnalia. During this festival, the citizens of Rome exchanged presents, greeting cards, and boxes of food. They seem to have originated our idea of a Christmas box with assorted contents. Under Christian influence, a few coins were often included so that the recipient might pay for a special mass appropriate to the season. It was customary for a patrician, or a nobleman or aristocrat, to invite his retainers and servants to join the family for his celebration, and he remembered each one in a fitting manner. The custom spread throughout Europe and England, and the lord of the manor was host to all his tenants and their children. And there was usually a special program of music and of cheer. For nearly 15 centuries, the concept of Christmas giving and sharing was comparatively free from what we call, quote, commercialism, end quote. In older times, there were neither means nor circumstances which invited extravagance. Gifts were considered important principally because they represented the personal thoughtfulness, skill, and industry of the giver. Presents were quietly accumulated through the year. In their shops and stores, merchants took time now and then to fashion with their own hands toys and trinkets. Housewives sewed and embroidered, and as the season approached, they were of course busy preparing foods and pastries. Even the little children shared in the benevolent conspiracy and the general atmosphere of expectancy. They drew pictures and wrote poems, memorized songs, and helped to gather the decorations for the house. There was no problem with the competitive value of presents given or received. Communities were essentially poor, but this placed no restraint upon the spirit of thanksgiving and the pleasure of small remembrances. The very simplicity of the old Christmas was part of its charm, and helped to keep alive and bright the sacredness of the celebration. After all, it was in honor of a man who had renounced the things of this world. For the birds of the air had their nests, and the beasts of the field had their lairs, but the Son of Man had no place to lay his head. Because of the intense spiritual overtone provided by the religious aspect of Christmas, our forefathers were mindful of the solemnity of the occasion, and there was an air of serious reverence with their rejoicing. It was good to be thoughtful and to remember that the Christian way of life required not only devotion, but an inner strength which could be victorious over adversity. Man must exercise eternal vigilance against selfishness and pride, and those false emotions which obscure the light in the human heart. The Spirit of Christ was the invisible guest in every room on Christmas Eve, for the festivities were in remembrance of the Holy Nazarene. We have come to think of Christmas as a child's holiday, and we may ask ourselves if we can restore all that this implies. Are we really so sophisticated, mature, and grown up that we have forgotten that we are all children? We are not only children of this world, but of the greater world, and our attainments are slight indeed when compared to the mysteries of life which surrounds us. There is a wonderful spiritual release in discovering the childlikeness in ourselves. Do the young ones enjoy brightly lit Christmas trees any more than the doting elders? The joy of the parents is in the happiness of the child. It may be that children get most of the presents, but we get most of the joy from watching their bright eyes and listening to their exclamations of surprise and wonderment. It may well happen that we can injure our children on this occasion by our very desire to please them. We should never teach the young, by word or example, that Christmas is only a lavish season in which we cater to all of their wishes. We should never substitute presents for parental thoughtfulness throughout the year, or use them in an effort to buy respect or admiration. A Christmas present is a symbol. We give of what we have to indicate our intention to give of what we are. We tell our loved ones that they may depend on us for strength and integrity and protection. It is a mistake if we allow the spirit of Christmas to be exhausted on only a symbolic level, nor should we bury the spirit of Christmas under a stack of presents. We say that it is unfortunate that times have changed and that Christmas is now a heavy economic responsibility. This is in part due to a general misunderstanding and to the changes which the motions of civilization have wrought. The average person is no longer sufficiently resourceful or skillful to make his own hands the gifts for his loved ones. He feels that he does not have the time, but in fact, he just lacks the inclination. So today, he simply goes out and buys and joins the throng which has transformed this gentle festival into a merchant's holiday. Is the merchant really to blame when we try to buy a spiritual experience which can come to us only from our own hearts? We all need to appreciate Christmas as an excursion of fantasy, a journey into the land of mystery, where everything is wonderful and beautiful, and good is always triumphant. It is a grand occasion to restate dreams and beliefs which we desperately desire to accept, and thus to rescue our minds and souls from the monotony of buying and selling, earning and paying. If we could really share in this festivity with a full measure of devotion, we would have new courage and vision with which to face the future, and there would be greater probability that we could keep our New Year's resolutions. With smaller families, urban living, and the weakening of ties and bonds due to these continual pressures we hear about, some face Christmas with sadness of spirit and an attitude of nostalgia. Some people will say that they dread the modern Christmas because it only reminds them of the good old days when neighbors and relations gathered to sing carols and the odor of good cooking was within the air. Loneliness is not easy in any season, but particularly difficult is the lonesome Christmas. Does it have to be this way? Why not accept the effects of changing time and realize that we are all one family, one people under God, the Eternal Father? The stranger or foreigner is not different from our own, and our next-door neighbor may also be lonely. We can often find the cheer that we seek by giving it to others, thus establishing friendly relations that may endure for many years. With all the talk against Christmas and the sober resolutions not to become involved in the frantic cycle of buying and giving and receiving, there is one thing we should always remember. The importance of Christmas depends upon ourselves. It is a festival of the Spirit, and if our souls are filled with the deeper meaning of the season, it will not be merely a burden. If we understand the old symbols and capture their messages of hope and inspiration, no one can spoil our Christmas. To say that our way of life has destroyed Christmas is merely an attempt to excuse our own deficiencies. One might as well say that it has destroyed Christianity, or the natural instinct to religion deep within us all. To regain the joy of this season, we must liberate the Christmas spirit from the false concepts with which it is now associated. Unfortunately, two celebrations that were once distinctively separate now have become united in the modern Christmas. The first and the most important of these was the sacred festival, extending from public worship to the private communion. And the second is the exchanging of gifts. And by degrees, Christmas presents have taken the place of the Christmas presents. The Christ Mass is forgotten all too often, or at least has lost a part of its vital meaning. If you want to restore the real Christmas, there must be something more than just merely a half-hearted desire. Change is brought about by action, and even a small effort sustained by a kindly determination can accomplish much. Some people do not like traditions. They believe that we have outgrown the past and that we must blunder along according to contemporary convictions. Yet, in the last 50 years, the policies which we least admire have become accepted as tradition, and we are bound to the new ways as rigidly as though they had ages of precedent. Let Christmas center around things that you yourself can do that will bring happiness to others. Call the neighbors in, or perhaps the children that you know would have a wonderful time singing the old carols, or helping to decorate the house. Go into the kitchen, prepare some festive dishes, or Christmas cookies. And by degrees, if you really try, you can bring that ever-waiting and ever-willing presence of Christmas into your life. The old memories will stir within you, and you can preserve for a new generation one of the kindliest recollections we have ever known. Even if Christmas may not be a happy memory, it can be a happy fact, here and now. This is a good opportunity for positive spiritual thinking. We all desire to be happy, and we are naturally grateful for the blessings we enjoy. The greatest of these blessings is love. And God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that men might have the everlasting experience of spiritual grace. We have said earlier that the third phase of Christmas history is related to charity. We interpret charity as supplying the needy or providing for the underprivileged. This is a part of the word, but there is much, much more. When St. Paul referred to charity, he said, quote, "Thus abides faith, hope, and charity, and the greatest of these is charity," end quote. The word he used is charitas. The original meaning is love. If our Christmas spirit falters, it is because, in some way, our love falters. Perhaps we are a little too selfish or too self-centered, or we may find it difficult to overcome unhappy past memories. Let us remember that Christ personifies the love of God, born into the world for the salvation of man. The Christ in us, which is indeed our hope of glory, is therefore manifested through our purest and most dedicated affections. If we can find the love which abides within us, it can become the ruler of our world and the constant source of good words, kind thoughts, and gentle deeds. When we hang mistletoe above the door, we are saying that love has come into our house. And where true love comes, the Spirit of Christ reigns supreme. With love lighting the way, shining upon our lives like the star that crowns the Christmas tree, there can no longer be any darkness in our hearts. According to the symbolism of the sacred season, faith and gratitude, hope and joy, love and peace, which together form the grace of the Spirit, were made flesh and dwelt among us in the little grotto at Bethlehem by a mystery which we can experience but never fully explain in words. We know that this Spirit also abides in our own hearts, and through us its perfect works are made manifest. Love finds its fulfillment in the constant giving of its life and its light. Our Christmas depends upon the purity and beauty of the simple affection which we bestow upon the season and all that it means to ourselves and to others. If we so understand and so appreciate, our Christmas will always be beautiful. And that completes the story of Christmas by Manly P. Hall. I wish you all peace and love. Have happy holidays. Love yourselves and love each other unconditionally.